2 weeks ago, everything changed. My fiancée, Melody, sent a message that upended the life we had built together. It read, "I'm staying at Dominic's for a few days to clear my head. Don't make it weird." Dominic, her ex from college, the same man she told me was ancient history when I found their messages just 6 months into our relationship. The same one who still left flirty comments on her posts and conveniently showed up at the same industry event she attended last year. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months, and had already paid deposits for our wedding. Now, she was taking space with him. I stared at the message for several minutes before replying with 5 simple words: "Take all the time you need." Then I got to work. The lease was in my name, something she never bothered to change in the nearly 2 years we lived together. I contacted our building management and had her removed from the authorized resident list. I deactivated her access fob to the building's amenities, the gym, pool, and garage, benefits that came through my membership. I canceled the secondary line on my phone plan, the one I had added for her after her phone broke months ago. Our joint savings? I moved her portion back into her personal account. We had always kept separate accounts as well, a wise decision in hindsight. Then I packed up everything she owned, clothes, electronics, personal items, and sent it all to her mother's house by a courier, with a note: "These belong to Melody. Please ensure she receives them." I didn't call, didn't text, didn't ask for explanations. I simply disconnected our shared life piece by piece. The next day, her mother called, confused. "Melody's things just showed up. Is something wrong?" "She's staying with her ex to clear her head," I replied calmly. "I'm just giving her the space she asked for." Silence followed. Clearly, Melody hadn't informed her family of her decision. That was telling. A few days later, while I was working from home, the doorman called. "Sir, there's a Melody Winters here. She says she lives in your apartment, but she's no longer listed as a resident, and her key fob doesn't work. Should I let her up?" "No, Marcus," I said. "Miss Winters no longer resides here. Do not let her in." Within 20 minutes, unknown numbers began calling my phone. I ignored them all. Her first voicemail was a mix of confusion and anger. "What the hell, James? They won't let me in. My key doesn't work. My phone's off. Call me back." I didn't. The second was more desperate. "This isn't funny. Where's my stuff? Why can't I get into our apartment?" The third came from her mother's number. The tone had changed. "James, please. I made a mistake. Can we talk?" Still, I said nothing. That evening, I hit the gym alone and cooked dinner in the peaceful silence of my now private home. Later, I sent one message to her mother's phone. "Melody, I got your calls. To be clear, there is no our apartment. The lease is in my name. There is no our phone plan. I canceled the extra line. There is no our wedding. It's been postponed. You chose to stay with your ex to think things through. I'm helping make that space permanent. Your belongings were delivered days ago. If anything is missing, send a list and I'll check." That message unleashed a flood of calls, from her friends, her sister, and eventually her father. I respected the man, so when he asked to speak privately, I agreed, on neutral ground at a nearby cafe. He looked worn, confused. "Melody says you overreacted. She just needed space. Dominic is only a friend." I nodded and placed my phone on the table. I don't normally record things, but I've kept receipts. I played a recording from a few weeks prior. Melody speaking to someone she thought I couldn't hear. "Yes, I'm still engaged. No, I haven't told him. The wedding's paid for. I'll figure it out." Her father sagged in his seat, rubbing his eyes. "We raised her better than this." "I believe you did," I said. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then he asked, "So, what happens now?" "Nothing," I replied. "It's over. She made her choice. The rest is just logistics." 10 days have passed since that meeting. Melody's explanation has shifted repeatedly, first claiming she needed time, then saying she was uncertain about the wedding, then blaming me for being too controlling. Now, her latest version: she made a mistake, and I'm being unnecessarily harsh. But at no point has she mentioned that phone call with Dominic or the fact that she never contacted me during her stay with him. I took her message literally and responded with finality. Ironically, I later received a message from Dominic's girlfriend. She found messages suggesting his support for Melody wasn't as innocent as he'd told her. She, too, packed up and left. Two women who assumed they had secure relationships were left facing truths they had chosen to ignore. I've blocked Melody on everything except email, which I review once a week. Her belongings remain at her mother's home. I'll return her share of the wedding costs once the vendors issue refunds. Some people need drama and closure through conflict. I prefer boundaries and resolution. She sent a text. I responded with clarity. Weeks later, a small package arrived. Inside was my grandmother's engagement ring, along with a handwritten note from Melody's father. This should be returned to your family. It was a rare, honest gesture in an otherwise chaotic situation. Legally, some warned she might claim tenancy rights since she had lived with me for nearly 2 years. But her name was never on the lease, and she made no direct payments to the landlord, so her standing was weak. In the end, all that mattered was the truth. She left to be with someone else, and I chose to move on without her. I consulted with a lawyer and kept thorough documentation throughout. Thankfully, the situation hasn't escalated. Some people have asked if I secretly recorded our conversations. Just to be clear, I did not. The walls in our apartment are thin, and one night, after returning home early from a work event, I overheard something. Out of habit from my job, where I regularly document system vulnerabilities, I wrote down exactly what I heard. No audio recordings, just a detailed written account. Apologies for any confusion. Based on what mutual friends have shared, many seem to be on my side. Melody is still living with her parents. Dominic, rather than offering her a place to stay, appears to be trying to repair things with his own girlfriend. It's telling how people's priorities shift once the full picture is revealed. The wedding vendors, surprisingly, were very understanding. Apparently, cancellations like this aren't uncommon for them. Most offered refunds after deducting minor admin fees. Once all that's settled, I'll send Melody her share. It's just business. An unexpected moment came when Melody's younger sister reached out. She apologized and admitted she felt ashamed of how she initially reacted after learning everything. It meant something small, but genuine. As for Melody, we haven't spoken directly since everything happened. She continues to email weekly. The tone has changed from anger to negotiation, and now to something closer to remorse. Her latest message read, "I never actually did anything with Dominic. I just needed to see if what we had was real, or if I still had feelings for him." Whether that's true or not is beside the point. What matters is the message she sent, telling me she was staying with her ex to clear her head. That alone was the breaking point. Everything afterward was me taking the steps I needed to take after a major breach in trust. Some have said I'm cold or unfeeling. I don't agree. When someone shows you who they are, you should believe them. Melody revealed her true self in that moment, and I responded the only way I knew how, rationally and decisively. This was never about revenge. It was about recognizing what kind of future I didn't want, one where I'd constantly question my partner's whereabouts or intentions. That's not love, it's surveillance. To those who think I walked away over one mistake, it wasn't just one. The first misstep was sending that text. The second was choosing to go to her ex's. Whatever happened after that, well, that's the betrayal. But the biggest issue was the belief that any of it was acceptable while engaged. This isn't about clinging to resentment. It's about knowing my limits and choosing a life built on trust.